Today we did this little shirt, whatever shirt you did, correct? So what we're gonna do is, how do we fill this one in? Why, or some of you have tried to fill it in and it's not working. Why? It's not working because you need to make sure all your points are connected, at least on the outside, to fill it in. If not, it's gonna give you gaps. So we're gonna take out the bottom layer. I'm just gonna not view it. There you go. I only have this. My points, and that's why I always say work on your outside edge. If you work on your outside edge, you only need to make sure to have two major sections to be filled in. If you work very separately all the time, it's really hard to go back and make sure your points are together. You're closing something in. That's why Illustrator can be such a pain. So you have to get used to building your sketches as you go correctly. So when you go back, you don't have to struggle so much and filling it in. You'll get used to it. That's why I always do the outside line first, nothing inside, outside. So what I do is Window, Pathfinder, and just make it together. Look, once I click this shape, guess what? Now that I click it, it's one. It's merged together. It's Pathfinder, so you're merging everything. Now, for the people that are like, oh, I clicked it, but it's not happening, guess what? Huh? No, yes, this one, right here. For the people who are like, oh, but I clicked it and nothing happened. You know why nothing's happening? Your points are not even saying hello to each other. That's what's happening. Yes. That's not bad. No. No, you need to move it to the back. So control, okay, so let's just say this happens to you. Oh, it disappeared. No, no, no. You know what happened? The order of your lines, some of them are in the back and some of them in the front. So you need to control with a Mac or right click, go arrange, send to the back. That's it. That's all you needed to do. But essentially it's one. Now, for people that are having issues with their lines not filling in, let me, no, is it Bensy? No, Bensy, no, hold on a second. I'm gonna use some Crystal. I think Crystal had pretty good ones. Okay. So let's just say the pants. This is not together. It is in group, but if you think about it, look, it's grouped correctly. But look at that pants. Half of it is together and the other one I have to click. It is not gonna fill because I'm gonna click on this, I'm gonna try to fill it, and only does one side. Does that make sense, guys? I need these lines to be together. So what do? We are gonna draw, we're gonna make sure we're gonna zoom in and we're gonna see where my lines are at. My dots are not meeting each other. So what I'm gonna do is gonna take my pen tool and connect them manually because it's not working if I do Pathfinder. That's one. And let's see now if it works. It does now. Does that make sense? Yes or no? You need to make sure your points are together. And if the Pathfinder that I show you how to merge everything all at once is not working, it's because your points are not next to each other. They need to be overlapping each other. They need to be really close to each other. Even though you noticed, even though Crystal's sketch was a millimeter apart, the computer doesn't see it as being overlapping. It sees it as they're far away. Illustrator has always been like that. That's why I want you to sketch in a certain way. Now, the good news is that she can do all of this, yay. So that's done and that's fixed. For example, if I wanted to do the spotters, it's gonna be really hard because I need the outside to combine. So if I close in, you notice these dots are really close, but they're not together. So what do? We close them. If they're not closed, it says, oh, it cannot be joined because it's a different group. That happens too. Guess what happens? You need to ungroup everything. You were grouping too much, and that's okay. And you ungroup, which is Shift Command G. And you're gonna group it. And now you're gonna go back and try to see if you can do it. You go here until you see once you see the little O in the next line connect, fine. Now that's connected now. You see, that's okay. It's gonna work out for us. Look, done. Except for those little ruffles, we'll save that. We'll fix that later. But that's what I'm trying to say. What a difference that makes between one tiny millimeter of a second thing. It is not connected. So that's why I keep saying, if you get used to drawing the way that I'm telling you, then you don't have to go back so many times to fix it. Okay, so we're not gonna save that. Now we go back to this sketch. I fixed the problem, right? And now I'm gonna put the stripies. I'm gonna create new stripes because I can. So really fast stripies. I'm actually gonna make it white. If you make it white, as long as you make it, the system will read it as white. It's not gonna show up because it's a white page, but it will show up as white in your swatch. Just make sure it's not clear, it's white. So now if you click on here with your select tool, direct select tool, you click on it, I have everything going in one way. That's not good, correct? My sleeve should not look like the same. My stripes should not be the same as my bodice. That can never happen at all. Anyone who's been in pattern making knows there's an armhole and a cap, and that's rounded. That's not gonna match exactly to your bodice. There's no way. Okay, so if that happens to you, guess what there's a trick. We're gonna separate it. So we're just gonna click on the outside, we're gonna copy and paste it right on top. And you'll see there's a reason why I'm doing that. I move this to the back. I take this one had white fillings, take it out. Done. Look, it's separated. Why am I separated? So I can draw on top the sleeve without drawing it separately. Does that make sense? Because the sketch that I gave you, if you notice, the sleeve was drawn separately. The bodice was drawn separately. If you have a sketch that you did not do that in, and you don't want to start from scratch, you can copy the outline to fill most of it. And then we only need this section, the sleeve. So what we're gonna do is just draw on top. That's it. We're gonna center on top. I don't need it to have a stroke. I just need it to have the right pattern. So then we go into stroke. Where are your strokies? And we just take it out. There you go. And then I'm gonna change this with rotate tool. Now with object. And there you go. And now we have the preview. That's fine. But what happens to the rest of my outlines? That's fine. We're gonna click, we're gonna send this to the back. If we click on it, arrange, send to back. But where is it? It's underneath the other one. So we're gonna send this to the back too. Done. Does that make sense now, guys? I know it's more steps, but like I said, if you start sketching in a very specific way, such as the outline first, then you have less steps. Now, what I do with the other sleeve, I just reflect it. We have done reflecting so many times now. Reflect and copied. Objects and patterns at the same time. Make sure that's together. You put copy and you drag it. Done. Same thing with the color. Now, if things are shifting too much or they're moving too much, just select it and do Command 2. That means it's locked, so you can actually draw on top really quickly the shapes that you need. So we go here. And remember, we're just gonna do this. So we're gonna take the stroke out. Bye-bye stroke. And we're gonna play. Huh? We can slash forward. That's the shortcut. If my stroke is on top, I can do slash forward. You see that? Or, you see this, right underneath the stroke, there's a little square that says none. That's it. Okay? Now we go back to this, and we're gonna play with the reflect tool. Sorry, not reflect, rotate tool, which is on top of the reflect tool, and we're just gonna move the pattern, and we're gonna change it. There you go. She looks better. So same thing. We're gonna reflect this too, because we don't need to do it twice. Copy and reflect. Oh, I did it wrong. So we're gonna do this again. Make sure it's transform object and transform pattern, and you copy and reflect, drag it to the back. Now, I know how arranging orders. It's the same way that you will do a slide. You know how to arrange orders in a slide, correct? So then what you do is you select what you need to push back. Oh, and also unlock. So there you go. Select, and then Control or right click in PC. Arrange send to back. Done. Doesn't this look very different now than before? Now it looks like it's following the grain. Okay? So one thing to note is if you work by sketching the outside line only first, it's easier for you to merge those points and fill it in quick, especially for solid colors. This is a pattern, that's why so much work. If this was solid, we didn't have to do that much work. If this was just pink, that's it. We just need the edges to be together, and that was it. But since this is stripes, we need to show that the stripe changes between the color on the top to the sleeve, because they're not gonna be the same. So we had to separate it. And that's why we need to rearrange certain things. Okay? Okay. So for homework, you have to create a style with a color. It can even be a mandarin color. I don't know if you guys know what a mandarin color is. Just basically a shorter version of a turtleneck. It doesn't need to have such a fancy sleeve. It could be a simpler sleeve. It doesn't need to have a button in the front. I need you to start trying how to put patterns into place, okay?